The origins of development for Cyberpunk 2077 can't be traced back to 2012, but real development of the game commenced by CD Projekt in 2016 after the completion of The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine content. From then, the game began to be developed and eventually became one of the most anticipated video games in modern history, due to the promises made by CD Projekt for the game. With all of the broken promises and disappointments that was Cyberpunk 2077, critics and people who had played the game complained about the lack of depth with V. V as a main character was interesting, but the consensus were that V as well as interactions of the character in relation to 2077 did not matter so much as the overwhelming presence of Johnny Silverhand, portrayed by Keanu Reeves, overemphasized the importance or negation of V. Consensus had that V as a main character for the world of Cyberpunk 2077 was overshadowed by the importance of Johnny Silverhand, as when Edgerunners was released in 2022, it brought focus back onto the very concept of 2077, but instead of the Johnny quote-unquote Keanu Reeves Silverhand obsession, it focused on a new main character of David Martinez. The entire concept of Night City being that it was a ruthless, harsh and evil place where everyone is eventually broken was first experienced with V, but due to circumstances with 2077 everything was redone in Edgerunners for David, as audiences were introduced to just how mad, how wicked, how dark the city really was. David lost nearly everything that he had cherished in this series, and eventually lost himself as well. Through the series he was innocent, but was slowly corrupted by Night City. Audiences were able to relate to him as he experienced the various losses through the episodes, because he was an example of what could happen and what did happen to everyone that had lived in Night City. David's use of the Sanvestin and suffering of cyberpsychosis, which were lesser known aspects of 2077's lore, but as a result of the series, casual interest in both rose exponentially, as both were main aspects pivotal to the story of Edgerunners. Edgerunners was credited with reviving interest in Cyberpunk 2077, and it was in no small part to David depicting life, love, loss, and even death in Night City. CD Projekt later thanked the producers of the series for saving their then new franchise of 2077, as though the video game still had massive flaws. The main character of David Martinez in the series of Edgerunners helped to reinterpret the video game, and for popular consensus of critics, gamers, and anyone else to reevaluate the entire premise of Cyberpunk itself. David Martinez is a character that you should know about because he helped to revive interest in a failed video game franchise.